Saturn in the first house. General characteristics of Saturn in the first house. People with Saturn in the ascendant usually appear serious, reserved, and mature even in their youth. They face a life filled with responsibilities, delays, or hardships that force them to grow strong early. Their physical appearance is often lean, tall, or bony, with deep set eyes and a calm, sometimes melancholic expression. Saturn here can give a cautious and disciplined personality, though if afflicted, it may cause pessimism, shyness, or inferiority complex. The native's life is a journey of self discipline, endurance, and karmic growth. Now, let us see the advantages of Saturn in the first house. Saturn in the first house makes the native very mature and serious from a young age. While others may waste time in immaturity, such individuals understand responsibility, discipline, and the value of time much earlier. This placement often creates a strong work ethic. The person does not shy away from hard work and can sustain long efforts. They have the ability to take responsibility and stick to their duties, making them reliable and trustworthy. Saturn is the planet of longevity, and its placement in the first house often blesses the native with a long life, provided it is not severely afflicted. They also have strong endurance, both physically and mentally, and can survive difficulties that others may not handle. People with Saturn in the ascendant tend to be disciplined, organized, and structured in their lifestyle. They like to live within rules, routines, and regulations, which gives them stability in the long run. Saturn is the planet of karmic lessons. So, its placement in the first house ensures that the native learns life lessons directly through experience. Though their growth may be slow, but it is steady and deep. Eventually, such individuals become wise advisors to others. One of the biggest gifts of Saturn in the first house is patience. These individuals do not expect quick results and are willing to wait, endure, and work steadily. This quality allows them to succeed in the long term, especially in careers requiring persistence. Saturn gives rewards later in life. In youth, the person may struggle, but in middle and old age, they gain respect, authority, and recognition. People with Saturn in the first house often grow stronger, wealthier, and more respected after their 35th year. Such individuals have control over their emotions and actions. They don't get easily swayed by impulses or external influences. This makes them stable partners in relationships and responsible members of society. Saturn in the ascendant gives the strength to face hardships. Life may test them repeatedly, but they rarely break down completely. Instead, they build resilience and emerge much stronger. Because Saturn teaches detachment, individuals with this placement develop a spiritual outlook towards life. They learn to detach from unnecessary desires and focus on higher values like discipline, duty, and service. Now, let us move towards the disadvantages of Saturn in the first house when it is afflicted. The most common effect of Saturn in the ascendant is delay. Whether it is education, career, marriage, or personal growth, everything comes slowly. The person often feels that success takes too long to arrive. While maturity is good, sometimes Saturn in the first makes the native overly serious, rigid, or pessimistic. They may struggle to enjoy life lightly, appearing cold, distant, or unfriendly to others. Saturn in the ascendant can affect childhood health. The person may be weak, underweight, or suffer from long term ailments early in their life. Later, health issues may include joint pain, arthritis, or chronic conditions. This placement often creates an inferiority complex. The person may feel less attractive, unloved, or unworthy in their youth. They may hesitate to socialize or express themselves, which can lead to isolation. Because Saturn represents detachment and delay, relationships may suffer. The native may feel lonely in their youth, have delayed marriage, or struggle to maintain social bonds. They may prefer solitude or feel misunderstood by others. Saturn in the first house gives early responsibilities such as family duties, financial struggles, or hardships that force maturity. The person may not get a carefree childhood or youth. Saturn makes the person disciplined but sometimes overly rigid. They may resist change, hold on to strict views, or become harsh towards themselves and others. This can limit flexibility and joy. Because Saturn governs seriousness and melancholy, the person may face depressive tendencies, anxiety issues, or fear of failure. If Saturn is afflicted, this can lead to chronic sadness or lack of optimism. Saturn in the ascendant often delays marriage. Even when married, the relationship may feel like a responsibility more than joy, unless Venus or Jupiter balance this placement. While Saturn eventually rewards, success and recognition usually come late. Youth is marked by struggle, middle age by hard work, and only later life by rewards. This can be frustrating for those who seek quick achievements. Saturn in the second house. General nature of Saturn in the second house. Saturn here makes the person serious, practical, and cautious about money and family matters. In childhood, such natives may face financial struggles, strict upbringing, or lack of emotional warmth from family. They are slow to accumulate wealth, but once gained, their money is steady and long lasting. Speech may be slow, serious, harsh, or deeply impactful. These individuals usually speak less but with weight in their words. Their food habits may be simple or restricted. Some may face dental, throat, or eye related issues. Values are shaped by discipline, struggle, and karmic lessons. Now, let us see the advantages of Saturn in the second house. Saturn in the second makes the native cautious with their money. They don't waste resources recklessly. Though earnings may be delayed, when wealth comes, it is steady, well managed, and long lasting. Such people are excellent at saving and preserving wealth. Saturn here makes the person highly responsible towards their family. Even if they faced struggles in their childhood, they grow up with a strong sense of duty towards parents, siblings, and later their own family. While Saturn may restrict easy expression, it gives weight and seriousness to the speech. Such natives may not speak much, but when they do, others listen very carefully. They may become respected speakers, advisors, or even judges in later life. The second house represents values, and Saturn here makes the person value discipline, honesty, and hard work. They often have conservative values and prefer stability over risk. While quick riches are not common with this placement, Saturn ensures that the wealth accumulated through effort remains stable. These natives rarely lose money easily because they value the savings and financial security. Saturn in the second house makes the native live a simple lifestyle with focus on necessity rather than luxury. This makes them practical and avoids wasteful living. Saturn matures with age, so after 35, such individuals gain deep financial wisdom. They may become excellent at investment, real estate, or long term financial planning, including the stock market. Even if early family life was difficult, this placement gives endurance and patience. Such people rise above early difficulties and create a more stable family life in the later years. Because Saturn links wealth with effort, these natives are extremely persistent in career and business. They are not easily distracted and build financial success slowly but surely. For some natives, Saturn in the second transforms material struggles into spiritual growth. They may realize the futility of excess wealth and develop detachment, charity, and service oriented values. Now, let us see the disadvantages of Saturn in the second house if it is afflicted. The most common effect is delayed accumulation of wealth. These natives often face financial struggles in their youth, with money only stabilizing after middle age. Quick financial success is very rare. Saturn in the second can restrict speech. The native may stammer, speak slowly, or have a harsh tone. Their words may sound cold or critical, leading to communication issues in relationships. The second house represents family harmony. Saturn here can create distances, strictness, or lack of emotional bonding in the family. Some may grow up in poor conditions with strict parents or with family responsibilities at a young age. Saturn affects food habits. These natives may suffer from dietary restrictions, weak digestion, dental issues, or throat related problems. They may also have to avoid indulgence in sweets, alcohol, or unhealthy foods. In many cases, Saturn delays or restricts inheritance or family wealth. If wealth is inherited, it comes late or with legal struggles. These individuals may develop a scarcity mindset. Even if wealthy later in their life, they may still fear poverty, leading to excessive caution or miserliness. Saturn here influences childhood environment, making it strict or emotionally dry. This can cause lack of affection, early loneliness, or insecurity about family life. Because Saturn makes speech harsh or blunt, the native may unintentionally hurt others with their words. This can cause conflicts in family or social circles. These natives carry burdens of family duty, whether financial or emotional. They may have to support their family members financially, which slows down their own progress. Just as wealth comes late, true family happiness may also come after maturity. Early life is often marked by struggles, misunderstandings, or lack of harmony. Saturn in the third house. When Saturn occupies the third house, it fuses discipline and responsibility with initiative and communication, providing a personality that is cautious yet capable of great persistence. Let us now dive into the advantages and disadvantages of this placement. Now let us move towards the advantages of Saturn in the third house. The third house represents initiative and effort or purushartha. When Saturn sits here, the native may not take bold steps easily or impulsively. But once they commit, they pursue their goal with unshakable persistence. This placement gives enormous determination. The individual may take longer to achieve success, but their achievements are often long lasting. For example, if a person works in writing, media, or communication, they may start slowly, facing struggles initially. But over time, their disciplined approach leads them to recognition later in life. Saturn in the third house bestows seriousness in communication. The native speaks thoughtfully, avoids unnecessary chatter, and values meaningful conversations. They prefer logic, facts, and depth rather than superficial talk. This makes them reliable advisors, mature counselors, or steady companions in communication based professions. The third house is associated with courage. Saturn's presence here may initially make a person cautious, even fearful of taking risks. But over time, Saturn grants enduring courage. Courage born not of recklessness but of patience and maturity. The native becomes someone who can withstand struggles without breaking down. This kind of patience is particularly beneficial in careers that demand consistent effort, such as research, law, engineering, politics, or spiritual practices. Saturn represents structure, labor, and technicality. The third house signifies skills, hobbies, and self expression. Hence, this placement produces natives with technical or mechanical skills such as engineering, architecture, design, crafts, or even structured art forms like classical dance or sculpture. They may not be flamboyant artists, but they produce work that has depth, precision, and durability. According to some classical texts, Saturn in the third house is considered auspicious for longevity. It ensures that progress in life may be slow, but it is steady. These natives rise after the age of 30 or 35. Their middle and later years are usually more rewarding compared to early years of struggle. Although Saturn can bring struggles with siblings, especially the younger ones, it can also make the native deeply responsible towards them. Even if relations are strained, the person carries a sense of duty towards family members and society. Over time, they may become the pillar of support in their immediate circle, being seen as reliable and dependable. Since the third house governs communication and writing, Saturn here indicates slow but serious writers. These individuals are capable of producing research oriented, fact based, or deeply analytical works. They may succeed in fields like journalism, publishing, historical research, or non fiction writing. The third house rules short travels. Saturn here makes the native cautious about traveling and may limit frequent trips. However, the journeys may undertake are often purposeful and bring long term benefit, especially if related to career or learning. Because Saturn adds steadiness, natives with Saturn in the third house may experience gradual but stable career progress. Even if they start from humble positions, they climb the ladder with patience, earning respect in their profession through sheer perseverance. Now, let us move towards the disadvantages of Saturn in the third house if it is afflicted. One of the major drawbacks of this placement is an inherent hesitation or fear in taking bold initiatives. The native may lack self confidence in youth, often overthinking before taking actions. This makes them miss opportunities as they prefer security over risks. Their cautious nature, while protective, may hinder their growth in fast moving environments. The third house represents younger siblings. Saturn here may create distance, misunderstandings, or even karmic struggles with them. Either the native has fewer or no younger siblings, or they experience strained relationships. Sometimes Saturn also makes the native overly responsible for siblings, burdening them with duties they may not willingly accept. Saturn delays results. In the third house, it can postpone success in self efforts, communication, or skills. The person may face repeated failures in their youth, losing confidence. Only after consistent hard work, usually after Saturn's maturity, which is around 35 or 36 years of age, do they begin to taste stability. This delay can cause frustration and feelings of inferiority in the early years. Since the third house rules social interactions and neighbors, Saturn can bring isolation. The native may struggle to build a wide network of friends or may prefer solitude. Sometimes they attract friends who are older, serious, or karmically connected, but not always supportive in youthful adventures. Though Saturn provides technical skills, it restricts free flowing creativity. Artistic natives may feel blocked or restricted in expressing themselves spontaneously. They may feel their hobbies and talents are underappreciated or that they must struggle longer than others to prove their creative worth. Saturn in the third house sometimes causes obstacles in short journeys. Travels may be delayed, cancelled, or associated with difficulties. These natives may dislike traveling frequently, or their journeys may feel more like duties than enjoyable experiences. The third house rules courage and mindset. Saturn here can cause anxiety, fear of failure, or inferiority complexes. The person may constantly compare themselves to others and feel that they are not good enough. This lack of confidence can hinder them from using their full potential. Saturn in the fourth house. This placement has a dual nature. On one hand, it teaches emotional resilience, self reliance, and responsibility towards family. On the other, it may cause struggles with emotional satisfaction, delay in acquiring property or vehicles, or strained relationships with the mother. Let us now explore this placement in detail. First, by understanding the core symbolism and then analyzing the advantages and disadvantages of Saturn in the fourth house. Symbolism of Saturn in the fourth house. Fourth house significations: mother, home, emotional security, family happiness, domestic life, mental stability, ancestral property, land, vehicles, private comfort. Saturn's nature: discipline, restriction, responsibility, maturity, fear, delay, detachment, karma, endurance, service, structure, stability. General results of Saturn in fourth house. Saturn brings seriousness into the house it occupies. Thus, in the fourth house, it emphasizes duty over comfort, responsibility over luxury, and endurance over easy happiness. Now, let us move towards advantages of Saturn in the fourth house. Individuals with Saturn in the fourth house grow up with early responsibilities at home. This placement makes them disciplined about family matters. Though they may not always express love in emotional ways, they deeply care for the stability and well being of their household. Such people often sacrifice their own comforts for the sake of their family. Saturn governs permanence and durability. When placed in the fourth house, it grants the native the ability to acquire real estate, agricultural lands, or long lasting property, often later in life after hard work. Unlike fleeting gains, their wealth is stable, and long term. Saturn in the fourth house makes one emotionally tough. Early struggles may teach them how to live without depending too much on others for emotional fulfillment. Over time, they develop resilience, patience, and the ability to face solitude without breaking down. These natives are rarely overly idealistic about relationships or home life. They tend to be realists who build a home on the basis of practical needs rather than superficial decoration. They may prefer a simple lifestyle but ensure security and safety for themselves and their loved ones. Saturn represents heritage and ancestry. In the fourth house, it connects the individual with their roots, traditions, and cultural values. Such individuals honor their ancestors and preserve family traditions. Although the relationship with mother may not always be smooth or expressive, the bond is often karmic and teaches life lessons. In many cases, the mother plays the role of a disciplinarian, shaping the person into a more mature, responsible adult. Since the fourth house also rules primary education, Saturn here may initially cause delays or struggles in studies, but it gives discipline and focus in the long run. Natives excel in structured learning environments, especially in fields related to engineering, law, history, or agriculture. Whatever possessions these natives acquire, they are usually durable and long lasting. Unlike quick wealth that disappears, their gains last for generations. Saturn in the fourth house teaches the lesson that true happiness does not come from external comforts but from inner peace. Over time, natives may develop spiritual wisdom and detachment, realizing that material homes are temporary, but inner stability is eternal. Now, let us move towards disadvantages of Saturn in the fourth house if it is afflicted. The fourth house governs inner contentment. Saturn here may create a sense of emptiness, loneliness, or dissatisfaction at the core. The person may feel unloved in childhood or deprived of emotional nurturing, leading to struggles in expressing emotions as an adult. One of the most common results of Saturn in the fourth is a challenging relationship with the mother. Either the mother may be strict, emotionally distant, burdened by responsibilities, or the native may feel detached from her. Sometimes the mother herself may suffer from health issues, hardships, or an early loss may occur. Though Saturn eventually grants property and assets, it often delays this. Natives may struggle in their early years to own a house, land, or vehicle. Comforts come much after persistent hard work and usually later in life. The home environment for these individuals may not be very cheerful or light-hearted. There may be tension, seriousness, or burdens within the family. Growing up, they may have felt restricted or under strict discipline at home. Saturn in the fourth house points to a childhood filled with responsibilities, scarcity, or lack of comfort. Many natives grow up in humble circumstances or have to sacrifice playfulness for duties at a young age. Due to lack of nurturing in early life, these individuals may build walls around their emotions. They can appear cold, distant, or reserved, making it difficult for them to form emotionally expressive relationships. The fourth house also relates to the chest region. Saturn's restrictive nature can sometimes cause health concerns like respiratory issues, weak digestion, or a feeling of heaviness in the heart region. Emotional repression may also manifest physically. Some natives may compensate for their inner lack of peace by becoming overly attached to land, buildings, or material possessions. They may measure happiness in terms of security and ownership, which can limit emotional growth. If Saturn is heavily afflicted, the native may feel lonely or emotionally isolated in later years, especially if they have not worked on building emotional connections. A sense of detachment from family may grow stronger with time. Saturn in the fifth house. Saturn is a natural malefic, and in the fifth house, it tends to impose restrictions, delays, and lessons connected to love, creativity, education, and children. However, Saturn also grants stability, seriousness, discipline, and long lasting results in these very areas, provided the native learns patience and responsibilities. Saturn's placement here can create initial struggles, detachment, or delays, but ultimately it brings maturity, wisdom, and karmic fulfillment. Now let us move towards advantages of Saturn in the fifth house. Despite its reputation as a planet of restrictions, Saturn in the fifth house offers long term rewards once the native embraces responsibility, discipline, and patience. Saturn ensures that the native does not waste time in frivolous relationships. They value commitment, loyalty, and stability in romance. Such individuals attract partners who are serious, mature, disciplined, or older. Once committed, they are deeply loyal and value long term partnerships. The native develops a practical, logical, and structured mindset. They excel in fields requiring patience, research, discipline, and systematic thinking. With time, they become wise advisors, teachers, or guides due to their maturity. Though children may come late, they bring deep karmic lessons and responsibilities. The native takes parenthood very seriously, instilling discipline, moral values, and responsibility in their children. They may become protective and strict, but they ensure that their children grow into responsible individuals. While Saturn restricts free flowing creativity, it encourages disciplined artistic or intellectual pursuits. Such natives may excel in mathematics, law, philosophy, architecture, engineering, or research fields that require patience and precision. Over time, they build a reputation for being deep thinkers and reliable creators. Saturn discourages gambling and rash investments, but it favors long term disciplined financial strategies. Natives with this placement can accumulate wealth gradually through their patience and consistent effort. Their cautious approach protects them from being major financial losses. The hardships faced in love, children, and creativity push the native towards self awareness and spiritual discipline. They may develop an interest in mantras, spiritual discipline, meditation, or structured religious practices. Saturn in the fifth makes one spiritually mature, often leading them towards karma yoga. Whatever the native builds in terms of love, education, or wealth tends to be stable, durable, and long lasting. Their wisdom is respected more as they grow older, granting them social honor and recognition for persistence. While Saturn's influence brings maturity and eventual rewards, its initial effects are challenging and restrictive. The disadvantages manifest strongly in youth and early life, but can be overcome with patience. Now, let us move towards the disadvantages of Saturn in the fifth house. The native may face repeated heartbreaks, loneliness, or struggles in life. They may remain single for a long time or marry late. Love life may feel cold, restricted, or duty bound instead of joyful. Sometimes they attract partners who are emotionally unavailable or burdened with responsibilities. One of the strongest effects of Saturn in the fifth is delayed childbirth or difficulties in conceiving. The native may have fewer children or face karmic challenges regarding their children's health, behavior, or responsibilities. At times, the children may feel distant or carry their own burdens, reflecting karmic debts. Education may be delayed, interrupted, or full of obstacles. The native may have to work very hard to achieve academic success. Sometimes they may lack interest in studies during their youth but pursue higher knowledge later in life. The free, playful, and artistic energy of the fifth house feels restricted by Saturn's seriousness. Creativity may lack spontaneity, and natives may struggle with self expression. They may be talented but fearful of expressing themselves freely. Such natives take life too seriously, leading to stress, anxiety, or depression. They may struggle to enjoy leisure, fun, or romance, focusing too much on their duties. This can make them appear cold, detached, or emotionally unavailable. Quick speculative gains are denied by Saturn in the fifth house. If the native engages in gambling, speculation, or risky ventures, they may face losses and disappointments. Wealth accumulation is slow and steady, requiring consistent effort. Saturn in the fifth indicates unfinished karma related to love, children, or past merits. The native may feel a sense of fated responsibilities or burdens in these areas. Until lessons are learned, the natives may repeatedly face similar challenges. Saturn in the sixth house. Saturn in the sixth house is considered one of its better placements, despite being a malefic planet. This is because the sixth house itself signifies difficulties, and Saturn's energy is well suited to handle difficulties over time. Saturn here teaches the native how to overcome enemies, control debts, and win in legal disputes. Also, master health and discipline. Advantages of Saturn in the sixth house. Saturn is a planet of persistence, and the sixth house rules enemies and competitors. When Saturn is placed here, the native gains the ability to outlast, outwork, and outdiscipline opponents. The person may face hidden enemies, jealousy, or competition, but they develop resilience and patience to overcome them. In disputes or litigation, they usually win if they stay disciplined and persistent. The sixth house relates to jobs and employment. Saturn here indicates someone who can handle routine, monotonous, and disciplined work. Natives with this placement excel in careers requiring patience, rules, and structured effort. Example: clerical work, judiciary, labor management, healthcare sector, and administration. Such people rise to higher positions due to their reliability and responsibility. The sixth house rules debts, loans, and court cases. Saturn here can give long struggles with debts, but it also gives the ability to manage, restructure, and ultimately overcome financial burdens. In legal disputes, Saturn ensures slow but steady victory. If Saturn is strong, natives may even help others in debt settlement or legal advisory. Since the sixth house governs health, Saturn's disciplined nature allows the native to eventually take good care of their body. Early life may bring chronic issues like joint pain, digestion problems, or skin disorders. But discipline in diet and lifestyle helps manage these. These natives become health conscious and may even follow strict diets, yoga, or routines for longevity. Saturn in the sixth gives a sense of duty towards serving others. Such people work well with subordinates and understand the struggles of labor. They can rise as leaders in organizations that involve managing employees, unions, or large teams. Their humility and discipline attract respect in work environments. This placement creates a fighter's mentality. Saturn here makes one patient, disciplined, and resilient in handling daily challenges. Life tests them constantly, but with each test, these individuals grow stronger. By midlife, they become highly strategic, cautious, and powerful in handling adversities. Now, let us move towards disadvantages of Saturn in the sixth house. Saturn in the sixth can bring chronic health issues, especially related to digestion, stomach, intestines, joints, or skin. Diseases may not be fatal but tend to be long lasting or recurring. The native may need to maintain strict discipline in lifestyle, or else illnesses can cause repeated struggles. Saturn's slow moving nature means delays in career progress. The native may start with low level jobs, monotonous work, or heavy responsibilities with little recognition. Promotions and stability come later in life, usually after Saturn's maturity. Although Saturn gives the power to defeat enemies, it also attracts persistent opposition or jealousy. The native may have to constantly deal with gossip, office politics, or backstabbers. Legal battles or disputes may drag on for years, causing frustration. This placement often makes natives workaholic. Saturn's energy in the house of service can push them into long hours, repetitive work, or service oriented roles. They may sacrifice personal happiness for their duty. Sometimes they feel stuck in jobs that bring little satisfaction but heavy responsibilities. Since the sixth house is the house of conflict, Saturn here can create a fearful or cautious mindset if it is afflicted. The person may constantly worry about enemies, failures, or health. They may lack self confidence in their youth and always feel life is a burden. Overthinking and pessimism may trouble their peace of mind. Saturn in the seventh house. Saturn in the seventh makes the realm of relationships a serious karmic ground. It rarely allows light, casual, or immature connections. Instead, it creates lessons, delays, tests, and responsibilities around relationships. While this can make marriage and partnerships challenging in the youth, it ultimately gives maturity, longevity, loyalty, and stable union when the karmic lessons are integrated. Now, let us move towards advantages of Saturn in the seventh house. Saturn is the planet of endurance and stability. When placed in the seventh house, it creates a marriage that, though possibly delayed or difficult at the start, becomes long lasting later. These natives do not give up easily on relationships and take commitment seriously. Saturn gives a spouse who is older, mature, disciplined, or responsible. Such a partner may not be overly romantic but will be loyal, practical, and reliable. The native takes marriage and partnerships very seriously. They do not waste time in flings or casual connections. Their approach to relationships is very practical, logical, and goal oriented. Since the seventh also rules business contracts and partnerships, Saturn here can give success in business with responsible and long term partners. The native may enter joint ventures that grow slowly but steadily. Saturn in the seventh is often linked to karmic debts from past lives. By committing to a spouse or handling relationship responsibilities with patience, the native clears old karmas and builds spiritual strength. Unlike those who give up easily, natives with Saturn in the seventh can face hardships, misunderstandings, and struggles in marriage, but still continue with loyalty. This endurance results in a stronger bond with time. Such natives marry according to societal norms, traditions, or family expectations. They believe in the sanctity of marriage and honor contracts, legal responsibilities, and social duties. Now, let us move towards the disadvantages of Saturn in the seventh house. The most common effect is late marriage. The native may find suitable partners only after their late 20s or 30s. This delay often comes with feelings of loneliness or frustration in youth. Relationships with Saturn in the seventh may lack lightness, romance, or passion. The connection is more about duty and responsibility than emotional affection. This can make the relationship feel heavy. The spouse may be serious, disciplined, or even emotionally distant. There can be a lack of expressive love, and at times the marriage may feel more like a contract or responsibility. If Saturn is afflicted, it can cause severe marital disharmony, separations, or even divorce. The person may face karmic challenges through their spouse. Saturn in the seventh may cause struggles in business partnerships, especially in the early years. Partners may feel burdensome, overly strict, or slow moving. Breakdowns in business contracts are also possible. Sometimes Saturn in the seventh creates a significant age gap between the native and their spouse. This may cause differences in outlook, lifestyle, or compatibility. Saturn in the 8th house. In the 8th house, Saturn works as both a curse and a blessing. On one hand, it may bring health challenges, delays in inheritance, struggles with joint finances, and fears related to death or loss. On the other hand, it grants long life, endurance through adversity, wisdom in occult sciences, ability to handle crisis, and deep spiritual transformation. Now let us move towards advantages of Saturn in the 8th house. One of the strongest benefits of Saturn in the 8th is long life and endurance. Even if the native suffers chronic health issues, Saturn gives the strength to survive and manage them. Such people may face near death experiences but emerge stronger. These natives develop immense strength in handling crises, whether financial, emotional, or physical. Difficulties that would break others often make them stronger. They can become excellent problem solvers, crisis managers, or counselors. Saturn in the 8th gives patience and seriousness in studying astrology, tantra, yoga, psychology, or philosophy. The native is drawn towards hidden knowledge and mystical practices. If disciplined, they may become spiritual healers, astrologers, or guides. Though the 8th house brings initial struggles in joint finances or inheritance, Saturn eventually grants stability. The person may gain property, wealth, or inheritance later in their life, especially after 36 years of age. Life with Saturn in the 8th involves repeated cycles of destruction and rebirth, loss followed by renewal. This develops resilience and adaptability. The native learns to rebuild life from scratch multiple times. Saturn's presence in the 8th makes a person committed, loyal, and serious in intimate relationships. They value emotional security and do not take intimacy lightly. Since the 8th house deals with secrets, Saturn here gives a sharp investigative mind. Such people often excel in research, law, medicine, archaeology, or any field requiring deep analysis. Now let us move towards disadvantages of Saturn in the 8th house if it is afflicted. Saturn is associated with chronic, long lasting diseases. In the eighth house, it may cause issues related to bones, joints, digestion, reproductive organs, or hidden illnesses that take time to diagnose and cure. The eighth is the house of death and transformation. Saturn here makes the native fearful, insecure, or anxious about mortality, accidents, or sudden losses. Property disputes, delays in receiving ancestral wealth, or denial of inheritance may occur. Saturn makes the native work very hard before gaining shared assets. Since the eighth is the house of spouse resources, Saturn here can bring delays or restrictions in enjoying wealth through marriage. There may be disputes with the partner over money or hidden financial responsibilities. The native may face unexpected obstacles, sudden financial losses, or life changing events that bring hardship. Saturn often ensures these events act as karmic lessons. The eighth house is a hidden house. Saturn's energy here may create loneliness, depression, or a sense of isolation. The person may struggle with trust issues and find it hard to open up emotionally. Saturn in the ninth house. When Saturn, the planet of discipline, delays, karma, justice, responsibility, and detachment, occupies the ninth house, it influences the way an individual approaches dharma, knowledge, fatherhood, and spiritual pursuits. Saturn here is generally considered a challenging placement because the ninth house is a house of Jupiter, while Saturn represents contraction, realism, and practical hardships. The contrast creates tension between faith and realism. However, with maturity and time, Saturn in the ninth can yield deep wisdom, strong moral character, and spiritual authority. Now, let us move towards advantages of Saturn in the ninth house. Despite its reputation for delays and hardships, Saturn in the ninth house has several positive qualities when understood and harnessed properly. These benefits usually come after the age of 35 to 36 as Saturn matures and begins to reward persistence. Natives with Saturn in the ninth house develop a disciplined approach to philosophy and spirituality. They don't blindly follow traditions, but carefully analyze them. This can make them reliable guides, teachers, or reformers in matters of faith and ethics. They respect tradition but reinterpret it with practicality, often advocating a grounded spirituality. Instead of relying on luck, these individuals believe in hard work. They gain wisdom through real life struggles, making them pragmatic philosophers. They become respected elders or advisors later in life, guiding others with their life experiences. Since the ninth is a house of past life karma, Saturn here indicates that the person is clearing karmic debts connected with religion, philosophy, and father figures. The struggles they face early in life build resilience and maturity, aligning them with their true soul purpose. These natives may initially resist spirituality but later embrace it with seriousness. Saturn promotes ascetic, meditative, and disciplined forms of spiritual practice. They may become yogis, monks, priests, or spiritual teachers who emphasize discipline and morality. Saturn in the ninth house creates a strong sense of morality, justice, and fairness. Saturn in the ninth house creates a strong sense of morality, justice, and fairness. The native may dedicate their life to law, philosophy, or humanitarian causes. They value truth and duty, becoming defenders of ethical principles. Whatever knowledge they gain, especially in higher education or philosophy, remains with them for life. They may struggle in the beginning but eventually achieve mastery in their chosen field. Such individuals become experts in law, religion, philosophy, or subjects requiring structured thinking. With maturity, Saturn grants them positions of authority in legal, religious, or academic institutions. They may become judges, professors, spiritual gurus, or policy makers who influence society with discipline and order. Now, let us move towards disadvantages of Saturn in the ninth house. On the flip side, Saturn in the ninth house can create significant struggles and delays. These challenges are karmic and are meant to guide the native towards discipline and spiritual growth. The father may be strict or unsupportive. Sometimes the father faces health issues, financial struggles, or an early demise. When the Saturn is afflicted, the native may feel emotionally or physically distant from their father, leading to unresolved issues. Luck does not come easily. These natives feel that despite working hard, success takes longer to manifest compared to others. They may face repeated setbacks in education, career, or wealth before establishing stability. Saturn can make the person overly rigid or pessimistic in their beliefs. They may resist change, question optimism, and adopt a fatalistic worldview. At times, they may become overly conservative or excessively skeptical. Education, particularly the higher studies, may face obstacles. The person may have to pause, restart, or work extra hard to complete their education. They may lack inspiring teachers or mentors in early life. Long distance or foreign travel may be delayed or filled with obstacles. Even if they travel, the experience may involve hardships, restrictions, or responsibilities. Faith is tested in these natives' lives. They may face crisis of belief leading to skepticism or depression. They may question the existence of divine grace, relying solely on their effort, which can lead to feelings of isolation. Spirituality develops slowly. Unlike others who may have early mystical experiences, these natives only achieve clarity after years of hardship, meditation, or discipline. If poorly placed, Saturn may make the person atheistic or indifferent to religion. Since the ninth represents law and ethics, Saturn here can sometimes create situations where the native gets involved in legal troubles or struggles with moral dilemmas. They may feel restricted by societal rules and norms. Saturn in the 10th house. When Saturn occupies the 10th house, it creates one of the most karmically significant placements in astrology. This position directly connects Saturn, the planet of karma, with the house of karma itself. Such a placement makes the native's life highly oriented towards duty, responsibility, career, and societal contribution. It can lead to tremendous success and recognition, but only after prolonged struggle, dedication, and hard work. Now, let us move towards advantages of Saturn in the 10th house. Saturn in the 10th house makes a person extremely hardworking and disciplined. Such natives are not afraid of responsibilities and often rise to positions of authority in their career. They are willing to work long hours, take on challenging tasks, and prove themselves through consistency rather than shortcuts. They succeed in careers related to government, law, administration, politics, heavy industries, engineering, mining, or anything requiring discipline and endurance. This placement creates a natural drive for long term stability rather than short term gains. The 10th house is the house of status and authority, and Saturn is a natural significator of structure and governance. When placed here, it grants native power, recognition, and respect in their chosen profession. They may become leaders, administrators, managers, or heads of organizations. Saturn rewards their patience by giving them authority in later stages of life. Unlike some planetary placements that bring temporary fame or sudden rise and fall, Saturn in the 10th house gives sustainable success. The natives' achievements come slowly but last very long. They may build a reputation that remains intact for decades. In many cases, Saturn here allows the native to become remembered as a figure of integrity and reliability. Because Saturn represents justice and the 10th house represents public recognition, such natives are admired for their sense of fairness, honesty, and strong principles. They gain respect not through glamour but through responsibility and trustworthiness. Their contribution to society is usually remembered. This placement makes the person serious, disciplined, and goal oriented. They are not easily distracted and maintain a sense of duty towards their work, family, and society. They can manage organizations, finances, and people very effectively. They are also skilled at long term planning, building solid foundations for their ventures. Saturn teaches patience. In the 10th house, natives learn that true success does not come overnight. These individuals endure hardships and failures without giving up. Their steady progress ensures that once they achieve something, it is rarely lost. The 10th house, being the house of karma, Saturn here indicates that the native is fulfilling important karmic duties from their past lives. If Saturn is well placed, like exalted in Libra or in friendly signs, the person may receive karmic blessings in the form of high rank, authority, and public honor. Saturn in the 10th house gives natural ability to understand rules, discipline, and law. Many judges, administrators, police officers, and politicians are born with this placement. It gives them the strength to work for justice and order. Such individuals are naturally good at managing hierarchies, systems, and structures. They thrive in bureaucratic or corporate environments where rules and regulations are important. The 10th house represents the world stage. Saturn here gives natives the capacity to withstand criticism, public pressure, and challenges. They do not easily break down when faced with opposition. Now, let us move towards disadvantages of Saturn in the 10th house. While Saturn in the 10th has many strengths, it also brings significant challenges, especially in the early part of life. One of the most common traits of Saturn in the 10th is delayed recognition. The native may work very hard in their youth without receiving adequate rewards. Their real success usually comes after the age of 35 or 40. Until then, they may feel underappreciated and burdened. Saturn in the 10th house makes the person feel like they are carrying the weight of the world on their shoulders. They may be forced to take up responsibilities very early in their life. Sometimes they are overburdened with family or social duties, leaving little time for personal happiness. Since the 10th house governs career and Saturn intensifies focus on duty, these natives become workaholics. They may neglect their personal life, marriage, or family due to their obsession with career success. Relationships may suffer, especially if Saturn also influences the 7th house. Though Saturn in the 10th can bring success, it also makes the person fearful of failure, criticism, or losing their respect. They may constantly feel like they must prove themselves. This can lead to stress, anxiety, and self doubt. Saturn in the 10th may create difficulties with bosses, government authorities, or superiors. Saturn in the 11th house. When Saturn, the planet of discipline, karma, restriction, perseverance, delay, and structure, occupies the 11th house, it creates a unique blend of results. On the one hand, Saturn's presence in this house can give tremendous gains, a large network of influential friends, and long lasting success. But on the other hand, the road to achieving these rewards is usually slow, delayed, and filled with obstacles. Saturn works on the principle of karma phaladata, the giver of the results of deeds. Therefore, in the 11th house, Saturn rewards the native only after sheer hard work, persistence, and maturity. Now, let us move towards the advantages of Saturn in the 11th house. Saturn in the 11th house gives a strong possibility of wealth and gains. Although the accumulation is slow, it is stable and sustainable. The person earns through disciplined professions, structured industries, government jobs, law, construction, mining, or positions requiring responsibility. If Saturn is well aspected, the native may rise to a wealthy and respectable position in society. The 11th house is called Kama Trikona, house of desires. Saturn here ensures that desires are not fulfilled too easily but are granted after very effective effort. The native learns the value of patience, self restraint, and discipline. When desires are eventually fulfilled, the person feels deep satisfaction because they were achieved through hard work. Saturn brings stability to friendships and associations. The person tends to have older, mature, or influential friends who help in professional and financial matters. Connections are not temporary but long lasting and reliable. This placement rewards those who work in structured environments. Government jobs, large corporations, and positions requiring authority are favored. The native may rise through persistence and endurance, even if the initial phase of life is slow. Financial growth after the age of 35 or 40 is very strong. Saturn in the 11th house gives the ability to take up heavy responsibilities in social or professional spheres. Such natives may lead organizations, social groups, or manage large teams. They become known for their reliability and organizational skills. Unlike fluctuating wealth seen in other placements, Saturn ensures steady income. The person may not become suddenly rich, but their financial condition grows stronger year after year. They are usually frugal and disciplined in financial matters. Saturn represents longevity and maturity. In the 11th house, it ensures that the native enjoys the fruits of labor later in their life. At the age of 40, the person experiences stability, wealth, and strong networks. Old age is usually comfortable and respected. Saturn in the 11th house can make the native inclined towards social service, charitable activities, and working for the welfare of communities. The person may gain recognition for helping society at large. Saturn is a planet of delay. Hence, the person's major goals and desires are fulfilled only after long effort. Until middle age, the person may face frustrations as their wishes take longer to materialize. The 11th house represents elder siblings. Saturn's presence can create misunderstandings, distance, or responsibility towards them. In some cases, the elder sibling may face health or financial troubles, and the native has to support them. Saturn creates a limited or disciplined social circle. The person may feel lonely or have few friends in early life. Friends may be older, demanding, or authoritative, creating imbalance in relationships. Since the 11th house governs networks, Saturn here may block easy access to influential people. Recognition and fame come very late. The person struggles to gain social acceptance until maturity. Even when financially stable, Saturn in the 11th house can make the person anxious about losing their money. This creates a cautious, frugal attitude, sometimes bordering on miserliness. Saturn in the 11th can cause stress from overwork and responsibilities. The person may face chronic health issues in legs, knees, or circulation, especially if Saturn is afflicted. Friends may betray or become burdensome. The native may feel exploited by their social groups or struggle to fit in with peers. Trust issues in friendships are common. One of the biggest drawbacks of Saturn in the 11th is delayed success. While the person eventually becomes wealthy and influential, this happens only after 35 to 40 years of age. Until then, they may experience struggles, failures, and repeated disappointments. Saturn in the 12th house. Saturn, the slow moving planet of discipline, karma, detachment, and restriction, is deeply karmic when it occupies the 12th house. Saturn here amplifies themes of isolation, renunciation, spirituality, and karmic debts. Depending on dignity, aspects, conjunctions, and dasha periods, Saturn in the 12th can make one a saint, mystic, philosopher, or in difficult cases, someone who struggles with loneliness, health, financial losses, and imprisonment like conditions. Thus, Saturn's placement in the 12th house can be both a spiritual blessing and a material challenge, guiding the native towards inner growth, detachment, and eventual liberation. Now, let us move towards advantages of Saturn in the 12th house. Saturn in the 12th can make a person naturally detached from material desires. They may pursue meditation, yoga, spirituality, or occult sciences. It gives deep insights into life, death, and the purpose of existence. Such natives may work in hospitals, NGOs, asylums, prisons, or spiritual institutions. They may spend their wealth in charitable causes, gaining hidden merit or punya. Saturn in the 12th gives residence abroad, especially during its dasha. It may also bring long term foreign work opportunities. For some, it provides a stable career in multinational corporations. Saturn blesses with consistency in meditation, mantra, or sadhana. Unlike planets that give temporary interest, Saturn ensures lifelong dedication to spiritual work. The 12th house governs the subconscious. Saturn here gives a serious, disciplined approach to inner exploration. The native may have clairvoyant abilities or prophetic dreams. Such natives don't crave luxury. They live a simple, disciplined life. This helps reduce stress from materialistic competition. Saturn here can bring success in professions involving research, prisons, hospitals, oil industry, occult studies, spiritual guidance, or foreign trade. Since Saturn is longevity karaka, its placement in the 12th can grant long life. It helps the soul progress towards moksha by gradually cutting worldly attachments. Now, let us see the disadvantages of Saturn in the 12th house. If Saturn is weak, Debilitated or afflicted by malefics, it can create hardships. Natives may feel lonely, misunderstood, or cut off from the society. Some may suffer forced isolation, such as imprisonment, exile, or long hospital stays. Saturn in the 12th can drain wealth through medical bills, foreign expenses, or legal troubles. Financial stability may come late in life. It can cause chronic diseases, eye problems, joint pain, or nervous disorders. Sleep disturbances or insomnia are very common. Frequent hospitalization or long term treatments may occur. This placement makes the mind heavy, creating hidden fears, phobias, and mental unrest. Depression or anxiety disorders may occur if Saturn is afflicted. The 12th house relates to bed pleasures. Saturn here can restrict intimacy, creating sexual dissatisfaction or detachment. It may delay marriage or cause marital disharmony. Afflicted Saturn in the 12th can bring punishment, imprisonment, or scandals. The person may feel trapped in situations without escape. Such individuals may not get support from family or society. They may be forced to live away from home, sometimes abandoned or neglected.